Hey guys, and welcome to the Band Rants channel, your home for NFL projections, predictions, and of course, your periodic rant. And in this video, I'm going to be going over all 32 teams' chances of acquiring Deshaun Watson because we now know he's officially on the trade market. Now, obviously, not all of these teams are going to be looking at him. Some of them won't even care. But for quite a few, especially for a quarterback of Deshaun Watson's age and caliber, they're going to be interested. And we're going to cover all 32 teams. I'm going to talk about who the front runners are, who's not even in the loop. But before I do, if you're new to the channel, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video, leave a comment down below on what you want me to do next, and we'll go ahead and get started. So, obviously, all 32 teams I'm going to talk about, not take too long on either one, but for the ones that are front runners, I'm going to be talking about them probably the most. And we're going to start with the Denver Broncos. This team is a front runner. They're also my pick on who I think is going to land Deshaun Watson. Said it from day one, said it in multiple videos, including my last video, and I'm sticking to that. I think Denver's got a really good offensive coordinator. I think they've got some really good weapons on offense to help Deshaun Watson grow. That division will be so much fun to watch, and Denver's got a defensive scheme that actually does work. That way he won't feel like he's basically carrying the whole team like he was with, would have been with Houston this year, and might still be if he's there. Next, we have the New York Jets. Now, they just drafted Zach Wilson. I'm going to put them in the unlikely, because it's not completely out of the question. Obviously, I don't consider it very likely. They did just draft Zach Wilson. They're probably going to give him at least 2-3 years, depending on how he develops. But don't expect the Jets to be anywhere near Deshaun Watson. Plus, he's probably not going to want to go there anyway. Next is Miami. Now, Miami's been an interesting team that's been floated around. A lot of teams have actually been eyeing Miami. A lot of people have been saying Miami would probably go for him, which wouldn't make much sense because of the whole Tua Tagovailoa situation. They just drafted him last year, handing the reins to him this year. It seems a bit too soon to give up on him. Almost reminds me of the old Josh Rosen, Kyler Murray thing, but that was a bit different. I would say Miami. I'm not entirely sure. I won't put it out of the question because if I'm going to be choosing between Tua and Deshaun Watson, I'm going to easily choose Deshaun Watson. But Miami also might just be looking at keeping Tua and making him the guy. These are just rumors. We can't really base it off rumors, but we have to also acknowledge that it has been a matter of discussion. I don't think it would actually go anywhere. I don't think Deshaun Watson wants to play there either, but it is something to consider. Next up, we have Carolina. Now, Carolina, I think they're tied to Sam Darnold for at least the next 2 years. They've got him this year, and they already authorized his fifth-year option for at least $18 million next year. So I'm going to put these guys as unlikely. Sam Darnold might not end up being the guy in Carolina after 2 years, but by then, Deshaun Watson's probably going to already have a home. So I won't say it's completely out of the question, but it's also very unlikely. Next, we have New England. I'm going to put New England as not happening at all. This is the first not happening. They just got Mac Jones. Bill Belichick knows his guy when he wants him. He would have already made an offer to Deshaun Watson, but Bill Belichick's also not going to break the bank when he's got a new player in Mac Jones that he has faith in. It's very seldom that Bill Belichick is willing to go back on his word that quickly, if at all. Next, you have Cleveland and Baker Mayfield. People that know my videos know I think that Baker Mayfield is extremely overrated, and if I chose between him and Deshaun Watson, absolutely. But it's also very unlikely that I'm going to put him at the top of the unlikely list, because it's unlikely they trade for him. I would take Watson over Mayfield in a heartbeat, but that's just me. Obviously, the Browns might feel differently, and I think that Deshaun Watson would have a lot of room to grow with Cleveland, but I think Cleveland feels committed to Baker Mayfield. I don't see them trading for Deshaun Watson or even offering. They would have a lot of good resources to do it, but I don't think they will. Next up is Jacksonville. I'm going to put Jacksonville right behind the Patriots as not happening. They just got Trevor Lawrence, and Trevor Lawrence is arguably one of the best prospects to be drafted in a long time at the quarterback position since Andrew Luck. At least that's what the scouts have been saying. And it would be interesting to see Jacksonville trade with Houston for Deshaun Watson, but I doubt that's going to happen. Obviously, both Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson are Clemson quarterbacks, but I really don't see a division rival breaking the bank for Deshaun Watson, especially when they just picked up Trevor Lawrence. So don't expect anything there. Next, we have Detroit. In terms of Detroit, if they had enough resources and were willing to break the bank, they'd be a front runner. But I'm going to probably put these guys as, I would say, probably not going to happen. Not because they won't be looking at him, but Deshaun Watson's not going to go there at all. He's also has the no trade clause. He's not going to want to go to a Detroit Lions team that has a grand total of nothing right now. They are a team in entire rebuild mode. So don't expect Deshaun Watson to be the foundation of what could be a broken, system right now. Next up is Minnesota, and this one might surprise a lot of people. Minnesota I'd actually put in the likely area. Kirk Cousins, is he horrible? No. But the Vikings offense is getting younger. Kirk Cousins is not. Kirk Cousins, I believe, is just about hitting 30 or 31, somewhere around there. And, in his contract, I believe, is actually set to expire soon. Now, would the Vikings make a pass at Deshaun Watson? I don't think so. But you never know. I mean, Kirk Cousins actually could potentially get an extension from Minnesota if he performs well enough, and he could end his career there. But, if you dangle a piece of meat like Deshaun Watson, no pun intended, under the nose of the Vikings, they might nibble. You never know. Next up is Tampa Bay. Again, much like the Carolina Panthers, by the time Tom Brady's contract expires, which would be in 2023, I believe, he would have already found a new home, so this is not going to happen. The Raiders. Now, the Raiders I'm also going to be putting in the likely area. And the reason is because I think that John Gruden is due. He's overdue for a big splash at the quarterback or any position. I think that he drafts very well with Mike Mayock. I think that the offense really needs a playmaker like Deshaun Watson. I mean, Derek Carr is okay, but you want better than okay. And when you're in a division with Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert, that's a big deal. And the Raiders, believe it or not, actually would be my pick for landing Aaron Rodgers next year, but we'll get to that in a different video. Next up, San Francisco. I'm going to probably put these guys as in unlikely. They just drafted Trey Lance this year. They still have Jimmy G. And I think they're going to be more focused on spending money for offensive passing weapons in terms of wide receiver and things of that nature, not necessarily shelling out the big bucks for Deshaun Watson. However, it is interesting to note that Watson did have interest in them, but I don't think San Francisco really is going to go after another quarterback after using the number 3 overall pick to get Trey Lance. Very unlikely. Next up is Atlanta. Now, Atlanta on defense is abysmal, and that's where a lot of their money should be going. But their offense is actually decent. I'm going to put these guys probably in the not sure area, because with the exception of Tom Brady, which that's more of an outlier, Matt Ryan is the oldest quarterback starting that we've talked about on the team so far. And he probably has another 2-3 years at best. I don't think he'll be playing into his 40s. You never know, but I don't think so. And quarterback is the one position you always want to at least have somewhat of an answer for, if not the total answer. And Deshaun Watson would be really, really fun to be on Atlanta. And think about this. When Tom Brady retires, he could easily overtake that division if he was to go to Atlanta because of the weapons they have. But Atlanta also is broke. They don't have a lot of money. But at the same time, you never know what can happen next year. Indianapolis, probably another team that's unlikely. I'll put them right after San Francisco. They just grabbed Carson Wentz. I expect them to roll with that ball for a year or two. But again, by the time that experiment ends, if it ends, then Deshaun Watson will have already found a new home. Next up, Baltimore. I don't even need to get into this. This is not happening. Lamar Jackson's going to be getting an extension this year. The Bears, again, the Bears I'll probably put as not sure. I don't see them making a splash for him. I think Justin Fields won't necessarily start this year. I'm a little skeptical on him, but we'll see what happens. I think that by the time they really fizzle that out, I think Deshaun Watson could end up finding a new home, but if they're not sure and they offer him to the Houston Texans, which I don't think is smart, they'd be foolish not to consider it. The Bengals, Joe Burrow, I'll probably put this as unlikely before Carolina. I think we didn't get a chance to really see Joe Burrow have a full run at things. He got injured in his rookie season, so I think we're going to get a lot more of a Joe Burrow taste this year. Dallas, Dak Prescott, another quarterback I think is extremely overrated, but in my opinion, it's probably not going to happen. It would be really interesting to see Deshaun Watson traded here, but not likely. Houston, I'm going to put these guys at not happening. I mean, I would have put them at unlikely because, maybe they don't find a trade partner. But if Watson wants to get traded, it's most likely going to happen sooner than later. We've seen quarterbacks that wanted to get traded. Matt Stafford wanted to get traded. Carson Wentz wanted to get traded. And they both did. So, I mean, who knows what can happen. And speaking of Matt Stafford, the Rams, this is not happening. I mean, Matt Stafford, I won't say he's better than Watson, but with the exception of Lamar Jackson and, you could say Tom Brady, but I think he's a bit of an outlier in terms of age and stuff. Matthew Stafford is probably the best quarterback fit-wise on this roster. I mean, I'm not saying he's better than Brady or Jackson, but in terms of just being stable, having a good age, having a good arm, and being able to still perform at a high level, Stafford gets not enough credit, and I think he's fine there. Chargers, Justin Herbert, not happening. Patrick Mahomes, I don't even need to get into this. Tennessee, probably also not going to happen. Ryan Tannehill is performing at a very, very good level. Philadelphia. Now, Philadelphia, I've been hearing a lot about lately. I'll put them at the front runners because I've been hearing their name buzzed around a lot. But I also don't think that they're going to be the team to do. I've already covered this in the last video. I'm not going to do a whole rant and rave about that. But if you want to check that out, you can see it. New Orleans. New Orleans, ironically enough, I would say New Orleans could be a front runner if they weren't so damn broke. So I'm going to put them in the not sure. Because, unlike the rest of these not sure teams and these likely teams, New Orleans doesn't have an answer that would even compare to Deshaun Watson. I mean, they don't have one. Jameis Winston threw for 5,000 yards 2 years ago, but that was 2 years ago. Obviously, Deshaun Watson would be so much fun to see, on a team like New Orleans throwing to Michael Thomas and, having Alvin Kamara with him in the backfield. That'd be really interesting. But I don't know. Right now, New Orleans is too broke to even consider. I mean, unless they took a big loan from the mob and got Deshaun Watson, I doubt that. Next, you have the Giants, and this is probably going to be, I'll say not sure. I'm still skeptical about Daniel Jones, but I don't see them being front runners. The Steelers, I'm actually going to be putting in the likely column, and here's why. Roethlisberger, I think, is his last season. I think that the Steelers are going to be looking, if they're not already, for a quarterback. Are they going to shell out all kinds of draft picks for Deshaun Watson now? Probably not, but we've seen stranger things happen in the NFL, so don't be surprised if they make a pass. Green Bay. Now, here's a scenario that's interesting. In Green Bay, I'm going to put in the not sure column. Now, here's the thing. Aaron Rodgers wants out. Deshaun Watson wants out. Rodgers is not going to go to the Texans, but he's going to be gone. So, if it's not Jordan Love, and they want to let him compete, why not bring in Deshaun Watson? I'm not saying it will happen, and I'd probably put it behind the Falcons' chances. But, again, stranger things have happened. I'll just cut to the chase quickly. These last three teams, Cardinals, Bills, Seahawks, probably not going to happen. Washington, probably unlikely. And that's what I've got. Obviously, these are the 5 teams that at least are considered. These are the 2 front runners. And we'll see where Deshaun Watson ends up, and I'll see you guys in the next one.